Yes, good morning, everybody. All right, so I am made in the image and likeness of God, the infinite divine creator. As such, I am a creative being. I am here to intentionally create. Those words are what we are exploring this week. And I've said each Sunday so far that we are the happiest. More specifically, I've said that our joy meter is the highest when we are in process of and making progress in intentional creation. It isn't the end result so much that gives us long-lasting joy. That's a momentary burst of joy, definitely, but sustained, deep-seated joy comes when we are in an ongoing process of intentional creation. But here's the deal. Intentionally creating something, let alone something amazing, isn't necessarily easy, is it? If it were, everyone would be doing it all the time, right? And we can look around the world and see that it isn't always happening, but we are awake people. We know that we are here to intentionally create. So we should be creating amazing things all the time. But we aren't always, are we? So what's up with that? After our work together last Sunday, you might say, what's up with that is my upper limit. We talked about our upper limit last week. Or what's up with that is that we hit our gulps, G-U-L-P-S. So what is a gulp? Does anybody remember what a gulp is from last week? Okay, it is our great upper limit problem. And I gave you a gulp busting mantra to help you pop through that ceiling. So, anybody remember what the mantra was? All right, we're going to go over it. All right, the mantra is, I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. Okay, so to help everyone remember that, we have something to pass out, and Suzanne's going to pass these out for you. You can take those with you. All right, it's our printed version of the gulp busting mantra. So as we're passing those around, let me ask, did anybody identify a gulp for themselves? An upper limit? Oh, we have someone. Okay, would you be willing to share with us?
Yes. As you know, I've been looking for a house.
Uh-huh.
And the house that I saw was that I could get, I didn't want. And I kept drawing that same thing to me, that same type of house. And I said, this is not what I want, but I said, I'll be willing to take this. This is not what I want, and this is how I got past it. And so I did see the one that I wanted, and I put a bid in yesterday.
Awesome.
So I just had peace all the way through that. And I got past that. This is, yes.
Oh my gosh.
I'm allowing myself to receive this.
You're not blocking yourself at any level. That is awesome. That is what, thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's wonderful. Wow. So now that you all have your mantra, let's say it together. I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. And yes, the gulp is definitely a piece of that. But there could be something else that might be going on. And the something else that could be going on could be a safe problem. Now I want you to know that I did not make up that, because I borrow a lot of my things from what I hear out there. I go, oh my gosh, that's so good. I have to share that with everyone because it makes so much sense. So I hope it makes sense to you as well. And I do believe in giving credit where credit is due. So this concept came from a teacher by the name of Rochelle Jane Grover. I've never heard it before, but when I did hear it, it really did make a lot of sense to me. So I've been thinking about and processing it for a while now, and I just can't wait to share it with you. So what is a safe problem? So before I answer that question, I have to put it into context. Creating means taking a risk. If you are creating something, then that means you've never done it before. And if you've never done it before, then you don't know exactly how to do it, and you certainly don't know how it's going to turn out. Kind of like when you're buying that house, right? And if you don't know, and you don't know how to do it, you could possibly really screw it up. And if you don't know how it's going to turn out, it really could be a big old failure. That's right? Is that right? Yes. Okay, so there's a lot of risk involved there, and risk can be scary. Now, next week, we're going to talk about what actually scares us and what the mother of all fears is. We could even consider this part one of a two-part talk. But for today, can we just all agree that intentionally creating takes risk, and risk can be scary, right? Okay, so, but it is only if we are willing to take the risk that we will create not only something amazing, but an amazing life. Only if we are willing to take the leap, only if we are willing to jump, will we soar. Let me show you some pretty wise thoughts about this from a comedian in a parking garage. We have a little video here.
Okay, here's the deal. If you want to be successful, here's the thing you have to do. You have to jump. There is no way around it. You have to jump. Every successful person has jumped. You got to jump. You got to take a leap of faith. You got to dash off that cliff, and you got to jump out there as far as you can. Now, a lot of times you stand on the cliff of life and you see other people soaring by, gliding down like a bird flying through the air. You know, they're going over to the south of France. You see them on a boat somewhere. You see their family vacationing here, their family vacationing there. You see them dressing like this. You see them in New York, then you see them in London. They flying by. You know why? It's because their parachute open. But the only way to get your parachute to open so you can soar, you got to jump. Now here's the problem. Here's the problem, my friends. When you jump, I can assure you one thing. You listening? I promise you this. Your parachute will not open right away. No, that's the fear part. I promise you your parachute will not open right away. You're gonna hit them sides of them rocks. You're gonna tear your back out on the cliff. You're gonna cut yourself. You're gonna get wounded. You're gonna get some tears and stuff like that. But eventually, parachute will open and you'll be sold. But here's the other caveat. Let me teach you this right here. If you do not jump, I promise you one thing. Your parachute will never open. So you're safe, but you'll never soar. You got to jump. I got to go.
Anybody skydive here? I'm not a skydiver, but I know people that have done that. Whew. So we can't create amazing things in our life beyond, of course, what, the vacation, cars, not that there's anything wrong with those, unless we're willing to risk, unless we are willing to jump. But because we are afraid of getting battered and bruised, we keep creating safe problems that keep us from moving forward in creation. Safe problems, to speak plainly and to put it bluntly, are all those reasons and excuses that we make up that keep us safe from making the risky decisions. Safe problems can include, I'm just too busy with other things right now to focus on that. I really don't have the money for that. I just can't afford it. I'm in emotional overwhelm already. How could I possibly take that on? I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to start. I need to know much more about it. I need more research. I need to grow more before I am ready to take that on. I need help doing it. Do you see how all of these things can keep you safe and keep you from taking that risk? Can you think of other safe problems that might exist? These are the things we tell ourselves so that we don't have to step out and take the risk. Does anybody see yourself in any of these? I mean, these are some of the things that I know are very common. A prevalent safe problem that I've had to work on for years is one that I thought was just a fact of my life. And, I found out that it's also true for many others as well. And that is, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. It's honestly been my mantra forever. as long as I can remember. And I've worked with affirmations and other tools to release it, but it really has a strong hold on me. One of my affirmations is I have all the time to do what God wants me to do. I have all the time to do what God wants me to do. And yet still, I felt like, boy, that clock was ticking. I just didn't have enough time. And now I know why. Because it hasn't been about time. It's never been about time. Having enough or not having enough. It never was and it never will be. It's about something going on in my consciousness. Of course, we know what we know in our head and what we know in our heart are two different things sometimes. And it doesn't always work out until we get those in sync. But keeping myself so busy that I feel like I never have enough time has been about not wanting to take a risk. Because I might crash and burn. So rather than jump, I make myself so busy with other things that I just can't do it. I can't get to it. And that looks good too. Look at me. Look how busy I am. I saw a Facebook post recently that said, when did being busy become a virtue? When did being busy become a virtue? I've said to myself, I will go for that bigger vision. More importantly, I will spend time and attention clarifying that bigger vision as soon as I have time. But I never seem to have it. I never seem to have that time. So if I never have the time, then I'm safe from the prospect of either finding out what I actually don't even, that I actually don't even have a bigger vision, or one that crashes and burns. So let me tell you something very cool. By simply having that aha that was going on, by realizing that the real issue is, not my belief that I didn't have enough time, but more of my consciousness about it, and then applying the spiritual tools and practices that we have here in New Thought and that we teach every Sunday, I learned that we can dissolve our safe problems. Actually, what we're doing is we are getting out of our own way. We are the biggest block to our good, the biggest block to our own success. And we have to get out of our own way a lot of the time, don't we? My all-time favorite quote is Ralph Waldo Emerson, which is, "Let us take our bloated nothingness out of the path of divine circuits." Let us take our bloated nothingness out of the path of the divine circuits. Because the energy is flowing all the time. It's like electricity. We're the ones that are turning that switch off. Nope, not going to look at that light right now. Not going to look at that energy, that idea. Ernest Holmes tells us in The Science of Mind, universal mind, being omnipresent, is wherever we are when we ask for help. If we are receptive to the harmony of the belief which the practitioner has poured into subjective mind, it will externalize for us. These are proven principles. These are proven principles. My challenge with I don't have enough time wouldn't go away because I wasn't receptive to healing why it was there in the first place. Now that I'm totally receptive to releasing I don't have enough time as a safe problem, poof, it has diminished to a huge degree. Still sneaks in there. Still does, because habits are hard to break sometimes. I seem to be able to fit and do so much more than I was able to do before. Have you ever experienced that, where it seems like time has stood still? I have actually looked at a clock and, sat down to do something, and I feel like I have accomplished so much. And I think, oh my gosh, it must be 2 or 3 hours later. And it's 10 minutes. How did that happen? Oh my gosh, it's just amazing. It just seems like sometimes that there is more time. So I want you to begin thinking about your safe problem, or perhaps problems. It's allowed to have more than one. What have you used as an excuse to stop you from moving forward in intentional creation? In a moment, we're going to apply our most effective power tool to it. And what's that? What is our most effective power tool in this teaching? We teach treatment, affirmative prayer, something that works with demonstrative results. We get results from our prayers. So, first I want us to think upon this statement from New Thought pioneer Ralph Waldo Trine, in tune with the infinite. There is a divine there is a divine current that will bear us with peace and safety on its bosom if we are sufficiently alert and determined to find it and go with it. The natural normal life is by a law divine under the guidance of the Spirit. So if you really believed that your life is under the guidance of Spirit, that there really is a divine current that will bear you with peace and safety, if you were willing to go with it, what would you do? What would you do? How would you soar? Would you let your safe problem get in the way of the intentional creation that the divine in you is calling you to do? Edwin Gaines, we all love Edwin Gaines, The Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, and if you haven't read her, we have a couple copies of her book that are available for loaning out. She's awesome. She writes, wonderful, magical things can happen if you are willing to commit to putting yourself out there, stepping outside your comfort zones, playing the game of risk. It feels like risk. It feels like playing without a net. But when you make a commitment, you are never playing without a net because God is your net. Taking risks and acting on your commitment reduces you to simply trusting God. So I offer you the invitation this morning to place your trust in God, to realize that your safe problem is really, what is it really about? To really take a moment and think about what is it really about. And then to realize it with the help of what I refer to as our power tool, which is, as I said, our scientific mind treatment, our affirmative prayer. So if you're willing to do this, let's all think about our safe problem that we might have right now. And let's do a treatment. Let's get centered, relaxed. And let's just know with me right now that there is only one life, one power, one energy. That life is my life. That life is the life of each person here. That life is the life of all living beings everywhere. I speak my word for each of you, and I know that whatever blocks appear to be in the way of your good, they are now dissolved and they disappear. Nothing stands in the way of your good. Nothing keeps you from moving forward and participating in the intentional creation that the divine is calling you to do. Whatever safe problem you have identified is now just a distant memory and no longer stands in your way. You are divinely guided, divinely supported, and so very loved in each and every moment. And all is truly well. And with a heart that is filled with gratitude, I release this into the one mind. And together we say, and so it is. And I'd like to share with you that there are a lot of instances in our lives where we can look back and see where we did take that risk, where we did step out of our safe zone. One that came to mind was when my husband was going to be a city manager. And for the first time, that was kind of scary because they usually have 3-year contracts and they are at-will employees and they get fired a lot. That's a big, huge risk. But he felt divinely guided to do so. And he did, and he stayed there for over 16 years. And it was a wonderful, wonderful career. But I have had a lot of friends who will not take that step up. A friend of mine did not want to move into a police chief, was offered to be a police chief, but felt, no, that's an at-will job, and was too afraid to take that on because he might get fired. Well, you never know what's going to happen. So it's interesting, the blocks that we do set in front of ourselves. And so take a look at where you've been and what you've overcome as you identify those safe problems that you may be utilizing now. Because I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for how far we have truly come. And it is truly pretty wonderful when you add it all up. So we'll end with that, and so it is again.